Welcome to the American Contractor Show, the show that's all about American contractors living the American dream. I'm your host, John Dye. Each episode will introduce you to contractors just like you who have beaten the odds and leveled up their game to become the dominant force in their markets. Together, we'll explore the tools and tactics that unlock the secrets to their success. Join me as we begin the journey that leads to the realization of your American dream. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the American Contractor Show. I'm your host, John Dye. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys and discussing the ins and out of the contracting world and things that you guys should be thinking about, and maybe some conversations that you haven't thought about yet, but yet we try to bring that to light and help you guys out as much as we can, and that's our goal here. So thank you so much for tuning in. Today's episode is one that's really close to my heart and to a lot of contractors, and this is probably one of the biggest obstacles that contractors run into when they're dealing with insurance claims, or if you're an insurance restoration contractor, whether that be storm-related, fire, water mitigation, whatever it is that you do. If you're in the restoration business and you deal with any amount of claims, you've probably run into these situations where, carriers are giving you a hard time. Things aren't going the way you wanted them to, and things go sideways, and you're dealing with a homeowner, a property owner that possibly is being under indemnified or not being handled correctly, and you have to hire outside help, and that comes at a cost. And so I want to play this clip that we've got here from Matt Behrens at C3 Group. We actually shot this at Win the Storm, and we've been holding on to because I wanted to wait for the right moment, because I think there's a lot of really powerful things in here, and there's a whole new program that's going to help what we call end the civil war between contractors and adjusters, because at the end of the day, that shouldn't exist, but yet it does. And this is one of the biggest pain points, I feel like, in our industry and what we're dealing with when we're trying to do things right, do things according to construction standards, and yet our hands are tied and we're not able to really do our job properly. And this is one of the tools that's out there that's coming up that's possibly, hopefully, going to be able to help change that. So we're going to go ahead and play this clip. And if you guys follow along, after this is done, I've got my friends Randy Brothers from Elite Roofing on standby, as well as John Wood, attorney John Wood. And they're both going to discuss this as well. We're going to come to some sort of, hopefully, a good conclusion of this and get everyone's opinion on what needs to change and what new things are coming down the line that are helping change. So without further ado, we're going to play this and move on from there. All right, guys, so I'm here with Matt Behrens from C3 Group.
How you doing?
Doing well, man. I really appreciate you, and I'm glad because the last few weeks we've gotten to know each other pretty well. We've been on tour together a little bit, and yeah, it's been fun. We get to stand there and mess with each other. We try to give each other a hard time up there. So, but I like Eric, Olivia, all your entire team over there. You guys are just killing it.
Amazing culture.
Amazing culture. I love C3 Group and what you guys are doing. And let's talk about that first. Let's talk about C3, and then we'll get into AAA in a second. But tell me a little bit about C3, what you guys are all about, and just kind of your guys' background.
Yeah, C3 is a nationwide public adjusting firm. We focus on large lots. It's really our niche. We've got offices in Denver, Illinois, Florida, and then down in Texas. So some of our bigger markets there. Work with contractors all over the place. I was actually a firefighter for 12 years, so for me it's like the communication is absolutely everything, so that's what we preach. But because of that, the brotherhood that I got from the fire department, bringing that into a business and then being able to quit the firehouse, but it's like I couldn't leave the culture behind, right? So my brother is actually works for me as well now. He was a firefighter with me. Cool. We got another guy that worked in a neighboring department that's with us now. So it's just like we were able to pull a lot of cool people that really cared about others, and that's really what we built a company out of.
And C3, you guys are public adjusters. You guys are working on behalf of policyholders. You guys are helping them be indemnified. I mean, it's huge. And so I appreciate that so much, and I try to refer clients to you guys all the time if they fit your guys' profile.
Yeah, we've had a few. I really appreciate it.
So I appreciate that too. And I just like I rest assured knowing that they're going to a good place there. So but you guys are doing amazing things, but then you guys have started to kind of shift gears a little bit recently. You're kind of getting into the nonprofit space, and you guys started AAA.
Yeah.
This is really cool, though. I'm really excited about this.
Well, you mentioned indemnification, right? I mean, the tough part for a PA, we get involved, whether it's up
contractors aren't supposed to talk about that, but let's just be real. Like, we're not in the business of indemnification, but yet we see firsthand what's really happening.
Well, it affects you too, right? I mean,
absolutely
from a contractor coming into a property that they know has been underpaid and they've got to hire a PA, it's either the client is the policyholder is paying out of pocket for the PA fee, or the contractor's eating it.
Yep.
One way or another, like there's not actually true indemnification for a policyholder because they're either paying more than what their deductible is.
And they shouldn't have to.
Right. Or they're sitting here and the contractor is potentially not doing as much work, or there's corners or whatever
So
they're
let's
getting
back
cut
this up
because they got to pay our fee.
For a second. So you're saying essentially, if I were to hire a PA right now, and we're just gonna lay this out. So if I hire a PA right now to work on my property, and you guys get me $100,000, okay, and let's say we spend that, we give you guys your fee. Mm-hmm. Your fee comes out of the $100,000 then.
Right.
So then we're less $100,000 less your fee, and now we have to rebuild our property for that amount.
Right. The contractor's either doing it for 90, or the policyholder's only paying 90 when they should have
basically
gotten 10.
Spend $10,000 to fix to pay you guys.
Right. But
and that's the problem. That's
exactly.
Huge.
I mean, I recently worked with a client that like they got $6,000, right?
Yeah.
From for their roof for all of their damage, when they're owed like $300. But then you go through the process and they hire an engineer and they hire a PA and they've got all these expenses and they finally get the $300, only to have a carrier say, well, no, you got to pay the $30,000 PA fee on top of what we gave you, right? Oh, it's insurance fraud. And it's not okay. I mean, the insurance companies right now are basically at a point where they're either accusing you of UPPA if you try to talk about scope and price, and they scare you into hiring a PA or saying that you need one.
Right.
And then they're trying to tell you that the fees should be paid in addition to the deductible for the client.
That's insane.
I mean, true indemnity, the basic of insurance, I mean, that contract says that I, as an insurance company, I'm going to pay you as a policyholder for the damage that you incur. That's your deductible.
Right.
That's it. You as a policyholder should never pay any more. So that's one of the things that we brought up with the AAA, right? The American Adjuster Association, is we saw a market and a niche that really policyholders and contractors needed somebody to stand up for them.
Yep.
And public adjusters needed to not make arguments with contractors and make their focus on making money. It needed to be more policyholder centric. So some of the things for us, it's like we believe that a policyholder should have access to the same experts that insurance companies do.
Absolutely.
We believe that an insurance company should pay the claim right. And if they don't, and they've got to hire experts, then the insurance company should foot that bill.
I totally agree with you.
Right, so really a fee balancing.
Yeah, so that's what AAA is all about then.
Yeah, that's one of them. Number two, there's a lot of states around the country where an insurance adjuster could literally work at Arby's the day before, and the next day is an adjuster.
Yep.
And there's no accountability there. So actually having licensing requirements for every IA across the country. We were just in a meeting with Steve Badger here, right?
Okay.
And he's talking about, hey, all IAs, all adjusters need to be licensed.
Absolutely.
We completely agree with that thought. We completely agree with that mission. So we're lobbying for that. We're lobbying for fee balancing. And then the other thing is that UPPA carve-out.
Yeah.
I mean, you as a contractor, how many times have you been told, or even the supplementing side, you can't talk that. You can't ask us for that.
Too many times.
Right.
Too many times. And it's not right because I'm talking about construction standards.
Yeah, you're saying I need starter, I need ridge, I need to abide by the code, right?
And we're not allowed to half the time, or we have issues. I mean, there's some states where we don't even attempt to even discuss it.
Right.
Just because it's a felony.
Right. And
literally,
you as a contractor,
literally, you can be charged a felony in the state of Florida to act as to if you violate UPPA. I don't think people understand that. You can literally go to jail, real jail,
right,
and you get a felony for talking about what you do.
But the problem is it's not defined, right?
Exactly.
You're told, well, you can't ask for that. I'm just asking for starter. That's not UPPA.
Someone brought one into me. I was talking to Boris, and he gave me one from Iowa. Iowa just enacted this deal too. Like, they have their laws on the books now too. That's basically is the exact same thing.
There's 46 states that have adopted UPPA laws.
See, I don't think
there's only 4 that haven't. We were able to shut down a bill in Wisconsin with the help of David Miller of Miller Public Adjusting up in that state
I know David.
just 4 or 5 months ago.
Absolutely.
He's actually working with us on the AAA.
Awesome.
But the last thing that we're trying to carve out is this UPPA thing where it's like right now, the insurance companies are basically saying, stay away from coverage, stay away from causation, scope, all that. You just talk about your price. That's it. You can't negotiate with us at all. I believe, and the AAA's mission is that you as a contractor can say, hail fail from the sky. I have a hail trace report that says I've got an accurate data loss.
Yep.
I've got hail damage to this roof. Here's my scope. Here's my price of how to fix it with all codes and everything.
Which
that
is
is
just
not
trying
UPPA.
to help consumers.
Right. That's not UPPA. And
Yeah.
you as a contractor, like, you guys are the first responders.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys affect 100% of insurance claims, and yet you're being handcuffed by laws that are not defined.
Well, it's almost like they want to basically say the roof's not damaged. When the roof's destroyed, we know that the roof's destroyed by the hail.
Mm-hmm.
They want to minimize that and basically be like, well, they're just trying to stop the claims process is
Right.
what ultimately
Right.
is happening here. And at the end of the day, the roof's destroyed. What are you going to do? The roof, it is what it is.
Right.
And either you get the roof fixed or you don't fix it, and then you really have problems in 4 or 5 years, and it's too late then to do anything anyways.
Well, and let's be honest for a second. I mean, the UPPA laws are pushed a lot by public adjusters. The problem with it, and I'm being totally transparent here, the problem with it is the PAs pushing those laws don't service your $17,000 to $50,000 claims.
Right.
They're not
Exactly.
interested in it at all.
Exactly.
The laws were put in place so they could get more money and more market share, and it didn't work.
Well, the only people that care about those are the contractors.
Absolutely.
Because those claims don't necessarily fit your profile. It
And
doesn't
now
make
they're
sense.
handcuffed.
Exactly. But that's probably the majority of claims. I mean, the small percentage of claims that do get to a public adjuster, you're going to get them either way.
Right.
It's not going to matter.
Well, and we recognize as C3, like in the space that we're in doing the large loss stuff, like we weren't servicing that market.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
the AAA is really designed to
Well, there's
let's
not
help
really
that market.
There's not really public adjusters that are servicing that market.
No, there's not enough of us.
There's not enough, period. Yeah, there's some that do, but over time they're going to learn that the bigger claims are really where they're going to be able to be of most use.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just as they become better public adjusters, that's what's going to happen. There's no way around it. And at the end of the day, us as contractors, we're the ones that the burden of proof falls on.
Absolutely.
And really, the policyholders are. There's insurance companies aren't giving policyholders a guide on how to file a claim.
No, they're giving them a blank proof of loss and saying, "Tell us what we owe you." That's your job.
Exactly. How does a policyholder know anything?
But that
as to
in
what
and of
it is?
itself requires a policyholder to hire experts.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem is now they're paying more than their deductible.
Absolutely. So that's what AAA is all about.
Yep.
That's what you guys are setting up. Talk about how to get involved with this, because this is obviously a really awesome thing. How do people get into AAA?
Yeah, really. I mean, contact anybody at C3. David Miller's up there. We got Paul Reed involved. Steve Patrick's involved in the organization as well. This is growing really, really fast.
Yeah. I'm going to put some stuff out on it too. What's the website for this?
The it's American Adjuster Association. .org.
Okay.
We've got several membership opportunities there. It's set up very similar to the APA.
Awesome.
But we're basically looking for membership. We're also looking for state leaders and national leaders.
This is awesome. We definitely need to get involved with this. We would love to be a part of it. We want to definitely join that.
Awesome.
I'll talk to the powers that be at Balance and Art of the Supplement. We'll be a part of that for sure. We support this 100%. Absolutely, it affects all of us.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to be behind this. I think every contractor that's watching this, you guys need to go check this out right away. Be a part of this. Join. Do what you can, because this is affecting you. It's affecting your livelihood. Imagine that UPPA got stricter and not easier. Imagine if we let this thing keep going the way that it's going. It's not going to change.
We've got to get ahead of it.
It's time to make a stand and to do the right thing and start to fight back and start to at least let you guys do what you guys need to do. And this is the way that things get done in the United States. Believe it or not, insurance companies have lobbyists.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're pretty powerful.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we need our own, right? I mean, we've got to protect our industry, and we can do that together.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you so much, Matt, for what you're doing. Thank you for C3 Group. We'll make sure to get you guys' contact out. Make sure to go to, what's the website for C3?
C3adjusters.com.
C3adjusters.com. Check them out. Matt, his team, they're amazing. They're doing great stuff. And thank you so much, brother. So that was an interview that Matt Behrens and I conducted at Win the Storm. We shot that, and it was just a good conversation about AAA. Because up until then, I really had no idea that a group like this existed. And so this was our introduction to it. So without further ado, though, I'm going to bring Randy and John into this, and we're going to start talking about this and kind of get some perspective on it. But guys, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being a part of this today.
It's good to be here. Good to see
Absolutely.
you again, man. Love what you guys are doing here. Man, I guess I need to retire here pretty soon, man. You're taking over the podcasting world, the contractor world.
No way, dude.
You're making my job easy.
Oh, no way. No, you guys are killing it, Randy. I love what you're doing, and it was an honor to be on your show. And if you guys have never watched the Start Build Grow show, it's incredible. It's every Wednesday, and it's one of the best pieces of information out there. So thank you for what you're doing and for being a part of this today. And John, thank you so much as well for being over here with us and talking about this subject, 'cause that's really important.
Always happy to give a little bit of education, take everybody to law school.
I love it. Do I get a degree after this?
Sure.
Might be ready for the board or the bar or whatever.
No.
All right. So, guys, we just heard from Matt, and he talked a little bit about AAA. And I think that this is one of the most frustrating pieces of legislation that's out there as far as UPPA goes. And this is probably one of the most frustrating parts of insurance restoration for contractors, especially because typically we're the ones that are taking this in the chin, essentially. Do you guys agree with that?
I would think so. From industry conventions, when the PA fee is paid out, oftentimes it's the contractor who is going to have to absorb that in terms of reduced profit margins.
Right. And that's the hardest part. And Randy, actually, can you talk to us a little bit about how this affects you guys right now?
Well, on the large loss side, I mean, just like you said, it's like you may start the process and it could take years to get through it with or without a PA. But with working with someone like C3, and that's who we work with a lot of my contractors and stuff like that. They're going to do all the proper legwork up front to try to expedite that project. And if it's done properly, it doesn't make it's not as big of a deal to partner up and have that professional level of support, because not only is it going to make you look good as a contractor, but it's also going to help expedite the process. So we get kind of hung up on the fees one way or another. But the reality of it is, if you want to really truly impact the industry from a professional perspective and really make a professional experience for the customers out there that have these buildings and that, or the organizations that have these large buildings or these large multi-family large losses, I mean, you've got to have some sort of partnership, or you got to work with a company like C3 Group. So, for us, it's on a large loss perspective. I mean, I feel like you kind of have to have that as part of your business model.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that a competent public adjuster is a must-have for any contractor doing commercial loss. And there's no question in my mind that a competent public adjuster more than justifies their fee. To me, that's not the issue of whether they earn their fee or whether it's worth getting a PA involved for 10% if they're bringing in a proper scope, contents, interior damages, things outside of just the roofing job, as well as a general contractor's overhead and profit. They more than justify their fee. The issue is that it's not pure indemnification. It's simply not fair to the policyholder for them to have to pay more than their deductible to get a proper settlement. And so I could spend all day talking about the business case for a contractor to work with a public adjuster. And full disclosure, I get referrals from public adjusters. My father and my brother are public adjusters. So and I've worked inside a PA firm, scaling and growing a PA firm for several years. So I might be, compared to most attorneys, I might be biased in favor of PAs. So full disclosure, but I still think there's a very robust business case for contractors working with adjusters. So the issue here is not that, it's how can we make sure that there's pure indemnification at the back end?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it seems so like logical that would be the case, but it's clearly not what's actually happening, though. And that's the whole issue at hand with what AAA is really trying to tackle is, and it's not just the PA fee, John, it's also the attorney fee, right?
That's right. Yeah, and no question. When the loss is settled and the attorneys take their fees and the PA takes their fees and there's expert costs or court costs get taken out, the insured has only so much money left to do that job correctly. And oftentimes the carrier is simply not paying enough money to do the job legally, much less in good workmanship. And so a lot of states have introduced fee shifting for attorneys, where if the non-breaching party prevails in the litigation, they're entitled to recover attorney's fees. And those of the carrier lobby who chastise contractors and tell them, don't inject yourself in the claim process because that's the practice of law. Well, let's look at the practice of law. A lot of jurisdictions award attorney's fees. So if we're going to say that PAs are like attorneys and attorneys can get their fees paid under certain circumstances, well, the same logic applies here.
Right, and it just doesn't make sense when it comes to indemnification. Because I mean, and I'm an IA or was an IA, and so one of the things that I learned, going through that process, and in just our little IA certification courses that we had to take from the state, was the general basic premise that the whole point of insurance is to protect you financially when you suffer some form of loss, whatever the peril may be, and that in turn is not clearly the case, though, if you're having to take and bring in outside experts to prove your point.
Yeah, indemnity means to be made whole again. It means to be put back into the position you were before the loss occurred. And so until there is some remedy to this situation, we'll never have pure indemnification. And it's worse than that. There's insult over injury. There's salt in the wound, so to speak, because what happens in a lot of situations, the carriers are now starting to exploit this. The ACV check is remitted, the PA takes their fee, and then the insured goes to the contractor and says, hey, I don't have as much as we initially thought. Can you do this for what's left? The contractor acquiesces in order to try and help their insured get a proper rebuild, and then they do the repairs and they submit the invoices to the insurance company for what the original numbers were. That's what the carrier had originally promised to pay. And now what happens is the carrier's defense attorneys say, you're now committing insurance fraud because you're not actually doing that work. You're doing it for 10% less. And so no good deed goes unpunished, right? Under that circumstance, the roofer trying to help. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying most property owners don't have the funds to pay these fees out of pocket, and that's the whole point of having insurance in the first place.
Well, insurance is a risk-sharing vehicle, so that's right. That is the purpose, and it kind of defeats the purpose if they're having to pay more than their deductible and their premiums to get the benefit of that policy. Now, I will say this: there's still a good rationalization for why you should proceed with using that PA, because you're essentially getting a 100% roof for 10% of the price. That's one way to look at it, especially with your commercial clients. We're like, we got to do this whole roof and we didn't get a full settlement from the carriers. Well, they do have capital reserves, and you're saying you're going to get a 100% new roof for 10% of the price. So it's still a good business case.
And again, you have to sell that from a contractor's perspective. There's so much constant pressure on contractors just in general to be the cheapest, go lower. How do you do a cheaper price? And then now you have to, add in, well, the insurance isn't going to cover this. So now you have to cover it, or I have to cover it. And a lot of roofers are just going to bend over and be like, all right, well, I guess I'll cover it, and I'll just work at a minimal margin just to get this job done or get the job on the board, or just to kind of work with this.
What does that mean for contractors?
Randy,
talk to me about
margin, and it puts us in a really tough spot for growth and or the constant uncertainty within our industry of the demand market completely changing. You never know when you're going to have, whether you like it or not. A lot of the contract, we're talking about insurance claims, right? A lot of the contracts that we're dealing with, that are watching this, that this pertains to, are heavily weighted on hail claims, wind claims, hurricanes, all those sort of things. That is so variable and it changes. You never know what's going to happen year in and year out. That way, when you get any little opportunity to do one of these large losses, you feel like you have to do everything you can to get that job and to do that job. And then you go through this process and you realize once you're 75% of the way into it, you're like, wow, the insurance isn't going to actually pay for everything they're supposed to pay for. I have to now pay for that. Most of them are like, well, yep, I'm already in here. Let's do this because this may be the only big job I get for 3 years. And then at the end of the day, they finish the job and they make way less money or no money at all. And then they're in a tough spot because that they have all this overhead and they've built this business to handle these large jobs. And then all of a sudden you get caught in a tough financial position from a contractor's perspective. Contractors fail every day because of not being able to manage funds and have the proper cash flow management. That's one of the biggest reasons why contractors struggle and fail. And these jobs,
well, there's so many
catalysts to that.
Yeah, there's so many variables in construction as it is, and then you go and take this into another variable that's completely out of left field, and it shouldn't even exist because at the end of the day, we should be getting paid for everything we do no matter what, and now we're stuck in this position where now we have to bend over backwards again for them and make it even tougher. John, I want to ask you, like, I don't want to get conspiracy on this or like try to get too crazy about it, but how are we looking right now with AAA? Like, how are things going? I don't know how, I know you're pretty involved there. Like, give me some idea on how the probability or what it's going to take for this to really become a reality.
So the that we're talking about is a legislative solution for fee balancing. That's sort of the primary legislative agenda of the American Adjuster Association. And to be clear, I'm part of the founding team there. I'm actually the vice president of the American Adjuster Association. So, full disclosure, that's our primary legislative agenda. And it would really be potentially just a one sentence fix, which is essentially that if the PA fee is a consequence of a breach of the insurance code or the insurance policy, then that fee shall be paid in addition to the settlement. It's that simple. It's clean cut, and it would lead to pure indemnification, and it would really cut to the quick of this market inefficiency.
Is that something that has to be handled on a state level or national level? Like, how does that work? You have to go to every state and get this approved?
There's a lot of different approaches, and each of them has their own political risks and benefits and different sort of budgets of political capital that you'd have to spend to get it done. Every individual state house could pass this law, but the NAIC makes sense to me because they promulgated the Model PA statute, and so they could simply update that to include this provision.
What's the likelihood, you think?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well,
how many lobbyists do we have? Like, what would we?
Yeah, so we've actually got some really good lobbyists involved, primarily focused on Colorado right now, because there's sort of a nice political complexion there, or it's actually feasible, given who's in charge of the various committees for legislation, as well as the political orientation. But we have sort of parallel strategy going on, and I don't want to give away too much of this because ultimately
I get it.
We're in a chess match, and we can't be playing checkers by showing our hand. But suffice it to say, we are building a coalition of policyholder advocates, roofing contractors, public adjusters, attorneys, forensic experts, appraisers, basically a very broad stakeholder coalition, because there's strength in numbers. And we're also not simply pursuing a state-specific play, because to really have clout as a lobbying organization, you have to be nationwide. And so we have academics, we have industry professionals, we've got attorneys, adjusters, and all of the above, and especially contractors. Those are probably our most important stakeholder here. Our contractors that, like Randy, they understand the business case for working with an adjuster, but they still feel that heartburn of having the fees taken out, and they want a solution to that so that we can have an efficient market. So, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic about our ability to make change. It's going to take a broad coalition, though.
I think with this would also kind of open up the other market as far as the non-large losses. I mean, all the PAs want these large losses, and when you have that big of a job, you can allocate a percentage and you can finagle it to make it work, but when you're dealing with a smaller claim, we just get kind of stuck often. And again, one of the other challenges I feel like is, as you were talking about earlier, how different states have different laws as to what the homeowner's rights are. And I know, like in Colorado, you can argue like the 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 time, right? The like unreasonable delay, right, or something like that, and get double damages. So you can actually get those fees paid for. But there's so many states that don't have those sort of laws and those sort of
Mm-hmm.
things in place, that it just puts contractors in a. I work with contractors all over the country, and sometimes I have to say I don't know what to do, because you literally don't have any leverage to help you with this particular $20,000 claim that you're getting hosed on.
You made a really good point about different states following different rules on this. And actually, that goes to the heart of what we're trying to do here. The notion that the insurance company should pay for costs incurred by the policyholder as a consequence of them failing to properly adjust the loss is not a new idea. In fact, that's simply an application of the theory of consequential damages, which has been around for centuries on both sides of the Atlantic. I found a treatise written in 1546 AD articulating the principle of consequential damages. And the most influential case in the common law is the Court of Exeter in 1854 in England, that the jurist wrote an opinion on the case Hadley versus Baxendale. And that's the leading case articulating the theory of when the breaching party should pay for consequential damages that arose because of their breach. And essentially, it has to be foreseeable in order for the breaching party to be liable for that. Now, I think it's pretty clear, it is plain as day, that a PA fee is a foreseeable cost. If you're an insurance company and you're going to go out there and lowball or lie or deny the claim or hire a bunch of engineers to give you a turn down report, it is totally obviously foreseeable that policyholder is going to have to incur professional fees for them to adjust the claim. Now, it's ironic because the insured is already paying for the loss to be investigated. The insured's premiums are what pays for that Hague engineer to go throw them under the bus. The insured's premiums are paying the IA's salary. Okay, that's where the money comes from that they use to pay these people. So why do they have to pay for their own loss investigators when they're already paying for the carrier's loss investigators? It's simply not fair. Now, every single case that I get at our law firm, Green, Klein and Wood, from a public adjuster where the insured hired the PA after the carrier didn't do the right thing. So as a consequence, when they got the PA, so this doesn't apply to losses where the PA filed the first notice of loss, only when they get involved to fix the situation. And then it ends up in litigation. We are specifically asking the court to award the public adjuster's fees as consequential damages. Now, again, it sounds new. This is not new. This legal principle is one of the most hallowed doctrines of contract law that goes back for centuries. We're simply asking for this to be formalized and ensconced in the legislation so that attorneys don't have to go in and ask for it in litigation. It should be awarded automatically.
I like it. Now, I know we're running up on time here, but I want to really quickly, though, on the UPPA side of this, because this is another part of this that we discussed with Matt in the other interview. Where's AAA going with that? Like, what is the plan for you guys when it comes to UPPA and how that affects contractors right now?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that we're not going to do is we're not going to do what other public insurance adjusting organizations have done, which is to push to criminalize roofing contractors for adjusting claims. And in fact, my father was the past president of the Texas Association of Public Insurance Adjusters, and he resigned a few years ago, probably one of the first PA firms to actually make a noisy exit from one of these associations because they were essentially cheering every time a roofer got a cease and desist order for a UPA violation. And he's saying, look, the law is the law, but that shouldn't be our goal as an association to push contractors out of the market. So that's one thing we're not going to do. And I also think that there are clear carve-outs from UPPA enforcement where the contractors should feel free to speak about what they observed at the loss location. They should feel free to speak about the cost of repairs as well as the causation or the scope of work. And that should absolutely not be punished by the law. I think a lot of public adjusters would also support a carve out for residential claims, particularly because there is a market failure right now where too few adjusters are willing to take on those claims. But then when a contractor tries to help out little Miss Smith, they risk a felony or they risk having their contract voided. So I think a carve out around the residential losses would probably be in order too. Now, we only have so many resources, and our primary agenda is to get a win on PA fee balancing. But we're open to a lot of suggestions. That's one of the reasons why we started this, because the American Policyholder Association has a focus narrowly on protecting policyholders from insurance carrier fraud. But there are a lot of other issues that need to be dealt with. And so as a sort of broad legislative lobby, that's what AAA is going to do in addition to education and training.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to note, because not to take anything away from APA and their mission is a little bit different than what your guys' mission is. And as a contractor, I think Randy would agree. Like, I feel like your mission is much more aligned with our specific needs and concerns in the industry. Because Randy, like, tell me, like, how concerned are your clients about UPPA violations?
Well, we in Colorado, we've had to resort to using an AOB on every single file in order to somewhat protect us, which there's still gray areas around that as well. That could be a whole nother discussion. And we even have like our supplement team now linked directly with a law firm, that like we have to have all these precautions in place to kind of protect us. So on the consumer side, we're able to kind of protect them a lot from, they don't really understand or get affected by it too much, but we have to educate our team. And our contract used to be like real simple. Now it's like a multi-page legal document we've written up with a law firm, and it's a lot more intensive for a homeowner to be like, whoa, what am I getting myself into? So that's our challenge, is to kind of overcome that. Like, this is written to protect you, Mr. and Ms. Homeowner, and protect us, and that's why it's, you know, all this so much more in depth and so much more detailed, with the assignment of benefit, assignment of claim on there.
Now, see, Randy, that's what you guys are doing, but what are you seeing in the marketplace with some of the contractors that you work with or that you come in contact with? You talk to a lot of contractors just like I do. What is some of the responses that you're hearing from them?
Well, I try to kind of educate them in this specific area and help them get the AOB on their claim, and help them, or on their contracts, where they can avoid falling into the trap of this. Because I really think the insurance companies are kind of just trying to trap us into this situation, and we have to be very clear. And I work with a lot of guys, a lot of contractors trying to develop their marketing strategies, and they got to be very careful on how they present themselves in the marketplace, so the insurance carrier doesn't come and say, well, you said you're an insurance claim specialist, well, you know, or you help with insurance claims or whatever. You got to be real careful of how you present yourself and brand yourself, so you don't just open up that door to become a target.
Yeah,
the carriers lobby has done a really effective job of divide and conquer. And you can see that anytime you log into the forums on social media and you see contractors bashing PAs, and you see PAs, chastising contractors, and you see lawyers bashing PAs and saying, skip the PA. And this divide and conquer strategy, we are all infighting, and it's hurting our policyholders and it's hurting us. So we need to unify, and we need to empower each other. And we need to find ways that within our unique skill sets, we can really do well for ourselves, do well by our clients, and joining together and funding good causes is really imperative. And you guys said it earlier, the carrier is spending a lot of money lobbying at every level of the government. And we have got to put some watchdogs in place, or they're going to be feeding at the trough every legislative session, further eroding policyholder rights, and that's going to hurt all of us.
Yeah, that's I agree with you, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate both of you guys are doing. I think there's so much that could be said about this subject, and we can get really deep into this. But just this conversation is, I think, a great way to hopefully bring more awareness to not just, we all know about the issue, but the possible solution. So there's a website for this now, I understand, right, John?
Yes.
and I'll make sure to put in the notes, but that's looks like it's www. I just did a Troy. Troy does that all the time.
AmericanAdjusterAssociation.org.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put that in the notes, AmericanAdjusterAssociation.org, and make sure that people go there, get signed up, get some more information. There's spots available for you to become a member, I'm sure, as well, right? And get involved, because at the end of the day, like contractors, if you're watching this is something that is literally, not only is it costing you money, but it's making your life more difficult, and it's not allowing you to really you're having to provide substandard service to your clients in one way, shape, or form at the end of the day. And that should never be the objective of a contractor. You should be able to do your job freely and effectively and do it right and get paid for it. And that's the whole point of this, is for you to not have to cut corners and basically lose money on jobs. So check this out. Check out what they're doing. Get involved. Become a part of this. I encourage everyone that's watching to do that, because I think it'll make a big difference. The more we're able to back them, a little goes a long way when it comes to large groups of contractors like the ones that watch this, and I know that many will. So, but Randy, thank you so much for being here today, brother. So it's always a pleasure to be with you.
We'll do it again soon.
Yeah.
I'll
So
see you, at the conference, right?
we'll be at RoofCon here in the next few weeks in October. If you guys don't have tickets to RoofCon, it's a good opportunity. We'll be doing a presentation there. I'm excited about it. Thank you so much for being a part of that. And John, it's always good to be with you, sir. I know we got some other stuff going on here in the next couple of weeks as well. So
It's a pleasure.
but thank you. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care.
Likewise. Cheers.
So, folks, that was Randy Brothers from Elite Roofing and the Start Build Growth Show. Make sure to check them out, as well as Attorney John Wood from he's an amazing guy. He's the vice president of AAA, and he's doing some really awesome stuff. They are phenomenal. He's a phenomenal resource for you, and if you're needing some legal assistance, I definitely recommend him in everything he does. I think he's brilliant at what he does, and I appreciate him so much for being a part of this. I appreciate both of them. It's been a great episode. So, folks, I really appreciate you watching today. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you guys on Tuesday for the next episode of the American Contractors Show. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American Contractor. Be sure to comment and let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.